Today on Ultra Simple Golf, we're out at the Durban Country Club practice facility, which I've just moved into now. And joining us on the show today, former Springbok and World Cup winning coach Jake White. Jake, welcome.
Hey Don, thanks so much, man.
Really good to see you again. It's almost been 10 years now since the last time.
Yeah, I was thinking about it this morning when you obviously invited me again. I thought, geez, last time Samola, it wasn't even built yet, you know.
Correct.
And we hadn't even won the World Cup, so a lot of things have changed. I mean, I've been back and forth to Australia already, and as you now know, I'm living in Durban and coaching the Sharks. So yeah, I mean, it's a lot of things have happened in those 10 years.
Well, it was just, you were on such a high in 2004, I think, just having won the Tri-Nations for the first time and really got yourself established, and then, you know, just an amazing road over the last 10 years and established yourself. Now, I mean, back then, obviously Springbok coach, but now one of the all-time great rugby coaches. You know, when you look back on it, it must be very rewarding.
Look, I mean, when you say that, I mean, it's humbling when you say one of the great all-time coaches. I mean, I'm still relatively young, and, you know, look, I have had a great run, and who would have known in 2004 we'd go on to win the World Cup. So, look, a lot of those guys still actively playing. I mean, that's the scary part. I think still get tapped on the shoulder sometimes to think that the 2004 side that played and won that Tri-Nation, some boys are still incumbents in the national setup. So yeah, I mean, it's obviously a part in my life that's now gone, but I'm obviously in an exciting part now. We've got some young guys at the Sharks, and who knows, you know, in 10 years from now they might be, you know, great rugby legends as well.
Well, it's going to be great to track their progress, because I remember sitting at dinner down there in Knysna talking about what your plans were for those particular players and seeing how that's all come to fruition. And you've got a similar sort of plan in place now with the Sharks, don't you?
Yeah, I have. You know, I mean, funny enough, I was watching your dad coach Peter Steff the other day, and obviously, you know, brings back memories of, you know, where John Smith's golf was in 2004. So, yeah, I mean, it is exciting, and as you quite rightly say, a lot of young, talented players, and I'm sure, you know, if we hang around here and if the players stick together, there's no reason why they can't become not only great Sharks players but great Springboks.
No, fantastic. Well, you were really getting into your golf then and loving whatever time you had. Is that still the case now? You still enjoy the game?
I do. I mean, obviously, as you know, in that program, I was lucky enough as a youngster to get a golf scholarship to America, as you know. And look, I'm fortunate I didn't take that scholarship. I'd be a very poor man now. And but I do still love my golf. And I think the one thing that's obviously happened as I've got older is the networks that you build up, you know, and the opportunities you get to play with some business people. You know, lucky enough to, you know, obviously with sports people you play, but I think sometimes when you get to play with some of the sort of, you know, the celebrities that I've played with, you know, played with Ronan Keating at the Daniel since I last saw you, you know, played with a couple of pros, you know, Simon Dyson, and when he went on to win the Daniel. So, look, I've still enjoyed the fact that I've managed to play not only with good people but on some great golf courses.
Well, that's what it's all about. Well, we had one here today, Durban Country Club, you know, getting itself established again as one of the great championship golf courses in South Africa for sure. So we're going to, you know, today spend a little bit of time with my dad now, having a look at you hit some balls out here, and then we're going to go into my new Logical Golf studio and do some drills just to try and iron out one or two of those errors that we might find, and then, you know, from there we'll take it out onto the course at a later stage. But looking forward to seeing you hit it. I know you loosened up a little bit, but let's call the old man over and see if we can make some progress.
Great, thanks Don. Thanks so
Jake.
Much. Cheers.
There's a good swing there, Jake.
Yep. There we go.
Okay, fantastic. Now, if you don't mind, let's just swap places here. I just want to explain what the story is. Now, Jake, fantastic shot. Nice high, you hit it, what, 170, 180 meters? Gentle draw, fantastic. But unfortunately, there are compensating errors. Now, the first thing that I noticed when you were warming up, your left arm comes way inside the line. Now again, when you look at the camera, my club inside here, I'm going to hit the ball straight right with a conventional grip, but your grip is very strong. So instead of from here, if I had a conventional grip and I brought the club in here, it would go straight into the bush on the right. So to get it back online, I'd have to come over the top, which you don't do. You clear beautifully. Your right shoulder drops, your left side clears, fantastic. But because you're inside, you compensated with a strong grip. Now, as you take the club back, I've got a very strong grip now. You can see that at waist high, my hands are in a perfect position, but look at the club face. It's shut.
Yes.
Now that ball should go into the highway left, but it's compensated by you coming inside the line. So it's great when you're not under pressure. But believe me, when you're under pressure and your legs go a bit quiet and you come over the top, you're going to smother hook it so far left it's a joke.
Yep.
So all we're going to do, and you made the comment off camera, you said to your wife, Lindy, you wanted to turn a bit fuller, correct?
Yep.
Brilliant. You turn fuller inside the line, you've got problems. Because now your club is way behind your back.
Yes.
So your whole torso is the obstacle.
Yes.
You've now got, if you turn fuller, you've now got to now come over the top to get you back online, and that's what you said you do. You hit a big pull left.
Straight into the bushes.
Straight left.
Yeah.
So all I want you to do, I want you to weaken your grip.
Is that with my left hand or my right hand?
Okay. You've got to understand the difference between a strong and a weak grip. Now, it's terminology. It's actually got nothing to do with physical strength. It's the spin of the ball. And again, it's a great point to bring up. Hook spin is not right to left. It's overspin. So that ball will pitch and run. You've lost all control. The power fade, Hogan, Nicholas, left to right spin, pitches and dies. It's not left to right spin, it's underspin. Now again, to explain, if I stood here with a medicine ball, firstly I'd grip it like this. Do you agree?
Yep.
If I had to swing it similarly to a golf swing. The palm of my right hand is facing my target to the back of my left hand. Now if I just swing to and fro and you freeze me at the bottom of the arc here, where will my hands be? In this position.
Square, yeah.
They won't be there and they won't be here. Right. Now in a golf swing it's identical. Now this is the error everybody makes. The club face is square, the left hand is facing the sky and the palm of the right hand is facing the sky. Now if you took that club back there, no one would change you because look at the club face. But I'm now rotating my forearm too much. That doesn't happen.
Yeah.
You go straight back like the medicine ball. Your hands actually work counterclockwise to get into the perfect position. Look at the club face. It's now shut. There's your hook spin. Now if you go to the other extreme, you go very weak. There and over the top. Now I take the club back. My hands are in exactly the same position, but the club face is now open.
Yeah.
So at impact with a weak grip, my hands are square. Where's the club face?
Yeah, open.
Open. I now get a strong grip. At impact, my hands are perfectly square. There's the club face left. Now, to do the whole job properly, dead simple. Two things only. Number one, I'll allow you a knuckle and a half of your left hand. So you put the club face dead square with your target. The left thumb, is just off center, a fraction. So without cheating, look at the ball and then look down at your left hand. I can see that knuckle and half of this one. It's called a knuckle and a half grip.
Yep.
Now the key comes, which you've done perfectly there.
Yep.
The fingers of the right, your lifeline of your right hand here overlaps and brilliant.
Okay.
Now again, all the magazines, and they're quite correct, will tell you that the two V's, the V on your left hand and the V on your right hand, both point to your right shoulder. Now you can have a look what happens. From here, as I turn, my club face is dead square with my hands. At impact, both my hands are square, the club face is square. All I want you to do is to weaken your grip and take the club along the line. Plus, you're going to turn fuller, you've got carte blanche. The fuller you go, the better. The four classic golfers that never choked under pressure. Player, Nicholas, Hogan, Tiger Woods. Have a look at their turns. They turn forever. Get connected, then allow, because your legs work beautifully, but you were very short because you had to be.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
It does.
So weaken the grip along the line, turn fuller and clear your left side. Let's have a look.
Okay.
Now try and imagine you're going to cut it. Just take it a little bit outside the line and then let the hands go. You will never ever hit it left. Brilliant. A little bit more over the right.
This one.
That's unbelievable. That's unreal. Now try and hook it. You can try and snap hook that. You will not do it.
Does the grip ever feel like it's stronger? What I'm saying is, because it feels like the club's going to slip out of my hand. So why?
You see, again, Jake, it's a hell of a good question, that. Every golfer I know has had this trauma.
Yes.
When I was first turned pro in 1968, Trevor Wilkes told me, he said, Mus, you hook the ball too much. You've got to weaken the grip. But I was on tour then. I was playing for money.
Yeah.
You know, so if you play bad, you don't eat. So it felt horrific for about 3 days. But then if I went strong now, I'd feel exactly like you do. You get used to it very, very quickly. Please believe, that's brilliant. Now turn. Right. Now, there's the test. That now went right, because you'll see it on camera, your left arm was slightly inside the line.
So
now what I want you to do...
I went like this instead
correct.
of...
Now just hold a second. I'm going to put this club down here. Now try and take your left forearm along that line and see what happens. Physically try and cut that ball now. Now outside the line. Well, that is so pure, it's a joke. How did that feel?
Perfect.
Absolutely brilliant. We've persisted here for 5-10 minutes. The average golfer, I promise you, Jake, it's so frustrating. They give it 3 or 4 shots, and obviously it's diabolical. Oh, I can't do that. You have to persist. But I'm talking 3 or 4 days.
No, sure.
And it gets rid of your hook forever. It's the most traumatic lesson I have. Apart from coming over the top, it's changing a guy's grip. The first thing they say to you, Mus, I've come to see you cure my problem, which is a hook, but don't change my grip.
Yeah.
It doesn't solve the problem.
Yeah.
That's my point. Got it?
I have.
Absolutely brilliant. Thanks, Jake.
Thank you.
Brilliant.
Thank you so much.
As we look here, Jake is set up to the ball very nicely. He is slightly hunched with his shoulders, which is going to result in the club coming inside the line on the takeaway, as you can see here. The left forearm has moved significantly to the inside line, and his club face is facing the ground, which is slightly shut. The net result is he's going to have to really dominate with his left hand and rotate his hips just to keep the club square enough to get it to travel down the target line. Jay, we're talking shoes today, and tell us what's taking the world by storm as far as shoe technology.
I think the biggest thing is companies like Nike and Adidas, Puma, have done very well in the athletics world. And it makes sense, the natural movement of the foot. Yeah. If the best athletes in the world are running in these shoes, they just customize the best facets of a golf shoe and they put it into that running shoe. Yeah. So you finish up with a golf shoe that is totally functional. Yeah. It's incredibly comfortable, it's light, and it allows you to move your feet in the correct way. And a perfect example is this Nike Lunarlon. Okay, it looks a bit classic. It's the same shoe that Rory McIlroy wears. And listen, if you take Rory McIlroy's ball striking at the moment, you can say, listen, I don't know if it's the shoes that are doing it, but he wouldn't choose substandard shoes to play golf in. But you can see how they've designed the flex points. Yes. There's one there, one at the back, and so it allows the foot, when moving through the shot, to rotate onto the left side quite easily, and from the right side to push off onto the right side. Okay. Then a lot of the companies have gone very, very athletic. Yes. This looks just like a trainer. This particular shoe and this shoe over here, which is Tiger's shoe, this one over here is the Tiger Woods range, and this shoe he asked them to make for him. It was born out of the Nike Free range, talking about freedom of movement, and he trains in these, he does his weight work in these, he's jumping, he's doing plyometrics in them, and he said, listen guys, I want a golf shoe that works like my training shoes, and they built him these. They're not particularly affordable, they're 2,800 Rand, but I can tell you that when you put them on, you can feel the comfort and the quality. For me, I think the biggest strides have been made by Nike and by Adidas. A perfect example is the Adidas Gripmore range. You would have seen Martin Keimer and Justin Rose wearing these particular shoes. They're wide, so for this African foot, we grew up as kids running around with no shoes on, so our feet tend to be a little wider. They come in a medium and a wide fit, so if you've got narrow feet, doesn't mean you can't buy a pair. The big technology is the grip more range.
Yeah.
I promise you now, these shoes grab like you can't believe. But the beauty is you just feel the weight of that on. And you know, you can say it's a different class compared to the heavy shoes we used to wear as juniors and as amateurs, as kids.
Just a quick question, what is a sole like that doing to the putting surface?
Yeah, that's a contentious issue. Some of the clubs were complaining. I think a lot of it boils down to etiquette. Some guys drag their feet, and you know, and I don't think they do any more damage than spiked shoes used to do in the old days. But as far as my favorite shoe, as a retailer goes, I have to go with Echo. You know, they were a little known brand in South Africa and in world golf. They're made in Denmark, and I can tell you that I've never in my entire life put on a pair of golf shoes that are more stable, more comfortable, especially the Biome range, which is made from yak leather. It just is incredible in terms of the way it molds around your foot, and every round you can go literally step onto a golf course, put on a brand new pair of shoes, and they are like slippers. I just think that they've really done a good job here. And once again, the technology behind the pimple sole, it grabs, it grips. There's no chance of slipping. The only time I think there could be a little bit of an issue is in the winter months in South Africa. It gets a little dusty, and you know, it's a bit like standing on sawdust. I don't even think spikes will help you in that particular case. So I'm not concerned about the grip, but I will tell you that people's feet, or golfers' feet, are a lot better off than they were 20 years ago.
Plenty to choose from.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Jake.
Thanks, Tom.
Right, Jake, we've had a session outside now. Now we're back inside the Logical Golf facility that I've set up here at Durban Country Club. And you know, as you can see around you here, we've got 2 Kinesis Techno Gym units and lots of different apparatus. And what happens is with every single unit, it develops a specific fundamental of the game and the swing.
I know you've spent a lot of time behind the scenes getting this going. I can't wait to see how it's going to help my game.
All right, Jake, why don't you tell me what you picked up in the actual physical hitting of the golf ball from my dad now?
Yeah, I suppose one of the most important things is, I mean, this grip now shows me that my grip was wrong.
Correct.
And then I suppose the most important thing your dad taught me was that I was taking the club inside, exactly like that. And what was happening is, obviously because I didn't want to hook it, I would actually just come through like that.
Correct.
And I would make sure. But because my hand was strong, I mean, it's very different now.
Yes.
But obviously this is what I was doing. And I can actually feel now, I mean, and obviously you've got this apparatus now.
Yes.
What I found is if I want to go there, it's very different to what your dad told me. You know?
Yes.
And I'm sure, as you say, this is probably a teaching tool for me to make sure I do it right.
Definitely, it's very visual, and it sets you up in the perfect posture and gets what's most important is that first sort of 2.5 feet of the takeaway through impact down the target line. So now what we're going to do, we've got the shorter club there, which is, you know, for the grip. Now I'm going to give you the weighted club now. You can see the disc on there that has got the 2 colors. Now what I want you to do is address the center panel there. Get yourself set up at address. Now, as you go from there, I want you to feel like your forearm is working away down an extension of the target line, and you want to keep that panel nice and level so the arrow is facing down. Right, you see the nice square club face there?
Yep.
Now you come down through impact. You'll notice you've delivered the club face squarely. Now you rotate down the line of the trainer into this position. You notice the perfect release as the club rolls over the ball. Now, so basically what you've done beforehand was just whip it across the line with dominant right hand. Exactly. So the key for this now is to really give you a visual idea of extension away, the correct rotation, but setting the club in position so you've got the freedom to hit with the hands down the line. No one's denying that the hands work in the swing, but they must work on plane and they must work in sync with your lower half. The lower half is what generates the power.
It's just for me, Don, I suppose the most important thing is, which I'm not used to, is I didn't know that it's almost like a topspin in tennis now, you know. Absolutely. I didn't realize that. I mean, I suppose what your dad was telling me is because I go inside here, and I almost like, I do it as a cricket, almost like a cover drive shot, you know. So I'm terrified to even do anything that roll because I think it'll end up.
It will. So that's why the freedom to, and it sort of defies logic, because the more you get the club outside the line, you think you're going to come more over it. But by getting it more out in front of you, as we say, it allows the body to work. The more the club gets behind your body, as you know, the American coaches talk about getting deep with your elbow, and you get stuck. Now you know any leg drive is going to produce a block. So the legs tend to hang back and you drive it with your hands and release that way.
So what your dad was telling me, which now comes back, is that obviously the legs are massively important. And when he was saying about dead legs or weak legs when the pressure's on.
Yeah.
Obviously, what you don't want is this.
Correct, and that's what happens. So, Ben Hogan made a statement 50 years ago, he wished he had 3 right hands. So everybody then, misconstrued that as that it's a dominant right hand, right side.
Yes.
But if you look at the footage of Ben Hogan, the amount of weight shift, the speed of the hips clearing gave him the freedom to release the right hand, which is what we want to do under pressure. So you've got to create a scenario where you can do that.
Yes.
If your legs are dead, which is what 99% of us do under pressure, we quit, we stop, and we flip. So that's why this is the first part of the puzzle, getting the swing
So
plane.
Don, let me ask you, is just this part, that's what this machine is here for, is just this part to teach that?
Correct.
I mean, this here and this here is not important here.
And Jim Furyk's a perfect example of that. He's putting the club in the correct positions, even though he goes inside, but when he comes down through the impact position, through impact, his club is beautifully on plane and he can release down the line. So that's point number 1. What do you think of that?
I can understand now, you see, because the little pieces in the jigsaw puzzle come together. It's no use getting this wrong and then thinking that everything else can be straight,
On this week's Echelon Did You See That Moment, we take a look back to the 2002 Ryder Cup at the Belfry. Paul McGinley came to the 18th hole where he rolls this putt in to give Europe another historic victory. Okay, Jake, now I want you to get the feeling of how inactive the hands are to initiate the downswing, to get the club into the correct position, how we transfer the weight by rolling off the right foot into the left side. There's a distinct transference of weight, and as that's happening, there's a natural rotation as well. So what I want you to do now is go ahead and get the grip which is attached to the kinesis unit.
Yep.
Take your natural posture over the ball. Now from here, I want you to drive towards me, keeping your hands inactive. Can you feel how the weight is shifting towards me as your belly button turns left?
Yep.
Now you're creating the late hit.
And also you can't go like this.
You can't come over the top, and we've set a weight as manageable for you, and as you get better at it, we set the tension a little higher.
And also, I suppose, I'm just thinking, you do what your dad told me not to do.
Correct.
Which is go inside here. Then the first reaction is to
Absolutely.
But now it's actually, it actually makes sense because it's almost like a shoulder turn now.
Yes,
Position I'm in.
absolutely. Absolutely. So what you'll start to see is the shoulders work on the correct plane, which is fractionally vertical, and the hips are more on a horizontal plane. So what we want in the golf swing really is for your body to drive left of the target, but the club to release at the target.
Yeah.
What everybody does is they stop using their body and the club head moves left of the target. Now there's no physical way your club head can swing left. It's coming down the target line, but it's being driven by your stronger muscles, being the stomach, the hips and the thighs.
And again, sorry Donna, but I'm thinking aloud what your dad said, dead legs, weak legs.
Correct.
When the pressure's on.
Absolutely.
I suppose in this situation, if there's no legs, then this thing doesn't move.
Can't do it. Can't do it.
Yep.
So it's just that perfect muscle memory all the time, but to get that simulation of what it is to get that late hit. Now I want you to put this behind your back.
Yep.
Grab your elbows put your elbows underneath.
Yep.
Just take a step a little closer to me.
Okay.
Take your posture.
Yep.
Now from there, now you've got no upper body movement. Now I want you to slide and rotate your hips at me. Rotate left, just pull. Can you feel the motion?
Yep.
Can you see
Oh,
how?
you mean like that?
Right, now we're getting it. Now you see how the right shoulder's working down towards the ball, but your left hip is clearing left.
Yeah.
So now we've taken the whole process. We've got you on plane. We've got your late hit drilled in with the hands, and now we've got the snap of the hips. So in all, we're really training a very, very dominant left side. So, 10, 15 minutes on this type of technology, and, now you go out on the range, the club head speed is increased, the hands have got nice and relaxed, the posture's correct, but does it make sense?
It does. It's fantastic. I mean, I suppose the interesting thing for me, Don, is how you got on the golf course and put all these things together.
But do you agree, and obviously being such a great coach, it's about understanding how to execute it, but what the feel is. So if you try and do it all in one go, you can't do it. So what I would suggest when we do this, even for the regular golfer practicing, when you go to the range, practice a feeling. So today we're going to practice rotation of the shoulders. Tomorrow we're going to practice transference of weight. The next day or whenever it is, we're going to practice the correct release of the club, and gradually over time you put the pieces together. But that's where people are struggling. The game is difficult, it's stressful, and it's time consuming. There is no shortcut, but if there is a shortcut that's been developed, I think Robert Baker's nailed it here with this. It's just the most amazing technology. And to have this in my facility here, it's just such a boost. I can't wait to get people exposed to it.
Yeah, look, I've got no doubt you're going to be inundated with a lot of golfers phoning you, Don.
I hope so, Jake. Thanks very much.
Thank you.